the death of Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, and head of the 56-member Commonwealth of Nations, has affected people all over the world, as she was very much loved and respected and considered by most heads of state as a wise and powerful queen, an example of leadership and confidence. While the leaders of all countries in the Commonwealth united their voices in sending their heartfelt condolences to the royal family and respectfully mourning the Queen, mixed feelings have been emerging relating to what the future should bring for the Caribbean countries that are somehow still under the hegemony of the British monarchy. The relationship that the Caribbean has with the royal family is indeed a complicated one. It is important to take into consideration that when it comes to Queen Elizabeth II, there is an awareness that with the Queen's ascension to the throne in 1952, she oversaw more of the breakdown of the Great British Empire versus the building up of it, which happens generations before. However, the residue of the brutal colonial past lingers to our present day. So, although Queen Elizabeth II was a good woman, the monarchy she represented had lots of our forefathers and mothers' blood on their hands. Therefore, most of the resentments we experience in the Caribbean and around the Commonwealth are not so much towards Queen Elizabeth II, but rather towards the monarchy itself and what it represents pre-Queen Elizabeth II. Though reverence to the royal family, we are also taught from school the darker history of colonialism, where the British Empire perpetrates the greatest colonial experiment the world has ever known. When we think of what colonialism actually involved, it is ugly in every sense of the word, where people are brutally subjugated by force, their villages burnt, people brutally killed, precious artifacts looted, and the wealth and resources taken from our lands. In the Caribbean, we cannot and should never forget the centuries of slavery, abuse, and oppression that over 10 million African people had to endure, being forcefully taken from their homes, families, and countries and into ships, transported to this side of the world in brutal and inhumane conditions. The few that survived the precarious conditions of these voyages were enslaved and forced into labor on plantations in the New World, including the Caribbean islands. This brutal treatment was absolutely normalized and tolerated by the old world's monarchs and leaders until just a few decades ago. But times are changing, and the rise to the throne of King Charles III seems to create the perfect moment for several nations to express their desire for independence. The royal family has never acknowledged their role in the brutality of slavery and the fact that their privilege and status are derived from what happened in the Caribbean through the transatlantic slave trade, through colonialism. In a speech to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda this past June, the then Prince Charles expressed his personal sorrow about slavery's enduring impact.
I cannot describe the depths of my personal sorrow at the suffering of so many, as I continue to deepen my own understanding of slavery's enduring impact.
The end of this era brings many unanswered questions about the future yet to be unfolded. The ascension of King Charles III to the throne of the United Kingdom after his mother, who reigned for 70 extremely eventful years, has stirred public opinion and given the occasion for political leaders to voice their doubts about the role that this monarchy should be playing in the Caribbean territories going forward. It is obvious that worries and uncertainties, along with some level of opposition, were already in the air. Barbados fully became a republic only in November last year, taking a wide and final step towards its emancipation and independence. Just a few months ago, in March 2022, during a visit to Jamaica, Bahamas, and Belize, people of these countries were screaming out loud in protest so that Prince William and Kate could hear their cry for reparation and apologies for slavery perpetrated by the monarchy in the past, but not forgotten. Charles III is now the king, not only in the United Kingdom, but also in 14 other countries in the world. 14 out of the 56 countries that are part of the Commonwealth, and 14 realms that still call him their king. These are Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Solomon Islands, and Tuvalu. 6 of these keep Charles III as their head of state, like Australia, Canada, and Jamaica. But the remaining 8 are ending up having Charles III as their new king, and these are the nations that are now pushing for an imminent switch from monarchy to republic. The personality of Charles III is also not as popular and beloved as his mother's, which causes additional distancing from the monarchy in these countries. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, has been sending lovely and heartfelt messages of condolences and has attended the Queen's funeral on September 19th, as many other Caribbean and Commonwealth leaders. However, this did not stop him from expressing his and his people's feeling that it is time to cut ties with the British monarchy. Like most Caribbean countries, there is barely any link between the distant monarch and the countries of the Caribbean. Mr. Brown announced that he plans to hold a referendum to decide whether to remain a British realm or to remove the king as head of state and finally become a republic. He also stressed that this does not in any way disrespect the monarch, but it has to be seen as a final step to complete the circle of independence to become a truly sovereign nation. He believes this referendum should be held within a maximum of 3 years. The leader of the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Commission, Dorbreen Omard, a widely respected author and cultural worker renowned throughout the Caribbean region, clearly explains that the reason why the UK is asked to make reparations has to be sought in history and the painful legacies of slavery and plantation workers still persisting today. These issues cannot be neglected. Acknowledgement and awareness, followed by reparation, are expected by the people in the Caribbean. There is indeed a loud voice calling for reparations given the amount of money the royal family made from the hard and brutal labor resulting from slavery and their involvement in colonialism. And even though reparations are unlikely to happen, the voice is still getting louder and louder. Jamaican reparations advocate Rosalie Hamilton, coordinator of the Advocates Network, was also the one who published an open letter during Prince William's visit calling for apologies and reparations. The country has been signaling that it intends to follow the steps of Barbados in becoming a republic, and the general idea is that this step should be hastened now that the new monarch is being proclaimed. Prime Minister Andrew Holness attended Queen Elizabeth II's funeral on September 19th as well, together with Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen, and he was one of the 5 Commonwealth Prime Ministers, along with Justin Trudeau of Canada, Anthony Albanese of Australia, Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand, and Philip Davis of the Bahamas, to meet with the new King Charles III at Buckingham Palace on Saturday, September 16th. Belize is actively considering a constitutional reform that could lead it to become a republic. In the wake of Queen Elizabeth II's death, Belize follows other Commonwealth countries in the run for republicanism. Earlier this year, the Minister of Constitutional and Political Reforms, Henry Usher, stated that the country witnesses a definite push towards bringing home the head of state, who cannot be living thousands of miles away and is not in tune with what's happening locally. Belize is the only Caribbean country where King Charles III could be removed by a parliamentary vote alone. While specific steps remain unclear, the Bahamas has been considering becoming a republic. Bahamas Prime Minister Philip "Brave" Davis is currently prompting a referendum to remove King Charles III as head of state, noting that it has to be the country's decision whether or not to be involved with the British monarchy. His words denote full respect for the Bahamian population and complete trust in their vote, a true visionary leader who seeks peace and prosperity in the country he represents. He cited next year's 50th anniversary of independence as a moment to consider the country's relationship with the monarchy. Former St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, now leader of the opposition party, observes the Caribbean general movement towards republicanism and declares that he firmly believes the country is going to be supporting this idea. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves proposed a referendum for reparations in July during the visits of Edward and Sophie Wessex. The requirement of a 2/3 majority is, however, feared to be a barrier to the rise of a republic. In Grenada, the chairman of the Grenada National Reparation Committee, Arlie Gill, who recently voluntarily resigned as CARICOM ambassador, fears the implications of a referendum in terms of hesitation coming from the opposition. Even though the people of Grenada seem to be aligned with the rest of their Caribbean neighbors in choosing to be a republic over monarchy, the country requires a 2/3 vote to overrun the monarchy. St. Kitts and Nevis has also active Republican movements and support. The Bahamas and St. Lucia require a simple majority in case of an anti-monarchy referendum. However, St. Kitts and Nevis is no stranger to the risks that referendums historically carry with them, in the eye of the government, often ending up as popularity contests. This often hides the real goal of the referendum and generates unnecessary political consequences and involvements. While Queen Elizabeth II was admired in many of the Commonwealth countries, Charles III ascends to the throne at the age of 73, with all these countries thinking of leaving their colonial past behind. It looks like a rocky start for the new king. Let's face it, history is history, and as such, it cannot be cancelled and should never be forgotten. Perhaps it is just the right time for the Caribbean countries to claim their independence and cut ties with the British monarchy, a constant reminder of colonialism, slavery, and oppression. Taking this step with wisdom and democracy, without any violence or extremism, will simply prove that our countries are ready to demonstrate to the world their worth without the unnecessary middle management of the British monarchy. We should finally be able to look at a truly Caribbean independent future. Please share your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, share our channel with others, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. This is J-irie Caribbean. Thanks for watching.